2 preseason games down, 1 more to go. What's been the biggest surprise and disappointment for the Raiders? We're breaking it all down. The panel is ready. Let's do this thing. Sin City Beat starts right now.
From Las Vegas, this is Sin City Beat.
Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here on Sin City Beat. I'm your host, Mike Davis. Sin City Beat is the show that dissects the Vegas sports world through the eyes of the reporters and storytellers leading the charge. This time, we're breaking down the Raiders' start to the season with 2 preseason games in the books and 1 more to go. Joining the action on the show today, we got Ray Brewer, managing editor of the Las Vegas Sun, Levi Edwards, digital reporter for the Las Vegas Raiders, and Ryan McFadden, Las Vegas Raiders beat reporter for ESPN. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. We really do have a dream panel. So let's start with this. Preseason Game 1, the Raiders took on Seattle and finished with a tie at 23-23 this past weekend. The Raiders lost to the Niners 19-22, and then next weekend they are set to take on the Cardinals in Arizona. So Levi Edwards, who's been the biggest preseason surprise thus far for you?
Well, I would say the biggest preseason surprise has been someone, not necessarily in terms of production, but Dante Thornton Jr. is a guy who, as a rookie, is the starting wideout. And I've seen some really good opportunities for him to do some good things and run blocking for Virginia, as we saw, but also they're really going after him a lot. And it's not necessarily clicking so far, but it's just so surprising to see the trust that Geno Smith has in a rookie receiver like that, especially with his speed and his ability to really get open, create separation and things of that nature. So it's one of those things when they are able to finally connect on that deep ball, it's going to be a huge threat to defenses because it's just going to open up things for Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers underneath. So I really like his ability to get him involved so far as much as he has.
Okay, interesting. Now, Ryan, we got to thank you. All Raiders fans have to thank you because when we get that push notification on our phone from ESPN, when it has something to do with the Raiders, it's likely coming from you. So thank you in advance for that. But tell us, when it comes to the biggest surprise, a positive that you're looking at from all preseason games thus far, what do you like?
One of the biggest surprises is what's happening at the offensive line. Going into OTAs, minicamp, the expectation was Jackson Powers-Johnson going to his second season was going to be the starting center. Pete Carroll and the coaches have changed it a little bit. You have Jordan Meredith as center and Jackson Powers-Johnson at the right guard position. I think when you look at the offensive line, I think this gives the Raiders the best opportunity to have the best 5 guys up front to protect Geno Smith, because that's going to be the key. You have Ashton Jeanty, you have Geno Smith. I think the key to the offensive success will be the guys up front. And I think having Jordan Meredith at center, Jackson Powers-Johnson at right guard, I think that gives the Raiders the best guys up front to provide protection for Geno Smith and open gaps in the run game for Ashton Jeanty to take advantage of.
Okay, see, it's an interesting point because so many of us and Raiders fans were excited for Jackson Powers-Johnson coming from Oregon, playing that natural position. But it's really just not where the guys are playing, but making sure we get the best guys we have playing on that line. Now, Ray, what about for you? I know you always give us a reality check. That's part of what we love about you. It's your nature, and we love that about you. And I can give you a kiss right now. But tell us, what is the biggest surprise?
So this might not seem like a surprise to my fellow colleagues, but for me, it's just how crisp and professional they look. I thought last year it was like a fire drill at times, and if one thing went wrong, the whole ship went down. And
right.
You saw just the new general manager, the new coach. There's a ton of energy in any NFL camp at this time of year, but just how crisp they look and prepared. And yeah, they played bad against Seattle. They had some mistakes. They shored some of those up last week against San Francisco, although not perfect. But I really just feel like they're not sinking and drowning like they have been the past few years. And for me, that's the surprise. That's, I guess, why you bring in a new coach. But it's been fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the maturity, it's interesting because the narratives around the league right now as we're heading into the season, there's so many teams that just stick out like a sore thumb, right? It's the Cleveland Browns, these teams that just have constant turnover and issues, and it seems like there has been such a maturity and growth in the construction of this team. Have you noticed that so far too, Levi?
Yeah, I think the big word that you can use is stability. There's a lot of stability in the locker room, just in the sense that you have established leaders. You have a Geno Smith, you have a Max Crosby, You have a Jacoby Myers. You have guys, add Adam Butler to that list. You have guys in the locker room that are people you can look at as an example of this is how you're supposed to look, this is how you're supposed to perform. And then Pete Carroll, he's very personable, and he brings that to the locker room of kind of being that guy that you actually want to go to war for, that guy that you feel has your best interest at heart. So I feel like the team gravitates towards that. And not saying that teams weren't like that before with other coaching staffs or anything like that, but it's just very evident with Pete Carroll more than ever.
It's true. And one last thing before we go to the break. I mean, Ryan, you were covering the Ravens too before coming from the Raiders, a team that, similar to the Eagles, they're just one of the premier franchises in the NFL in terms of stability, how they function from scouting, drafting, grading talent, producing talent. Have you seen more similarities with how the Ravens run things as a A+ franchise and what the Raiders are now doing?
I think one thing you do see is, and you saw it from the jump, bringing in John Spytek and Pete Carroll. I think you see a foundation being put in place, and not just from the front office to the coaching staff, but the players as well. They've done a good job in bringing in guys to this roster, kind of fit that competitive edge that they want out of this organization moving forward. And I think that was the biggest key, is bringing in Geno Smith at quarterback, because he has that relationship with Pete Carroll and back in Seattle, and he has that competitive edge. And they know each other very well, and that's the key to having a strong foundation, is a good relationship between the head coach and the quarterback, because the quarterback is the leader in that locker room. He's going to set the tone. He's going to make sure everyone's in check, and that's why going into this offseason, Pete Carroll was big on getting the ball rolling quick, establishing his culture as quick as possible, and having Geno Smith in that locker room is huge for that. And we have seen that throughout OTAs, minicamp, and now here in training camp, that the culture that Pete Carroll is trying to establish here in Las Vegas is really coming into fruition.
Okay, all right, guys. Well, when we return, we're taking a look at the other side of the coin. What or who has been the biggest disappointment so far? That's next.
You're watching Sin City Beat.
Welcome back to Sin City Beat. So preseason football isn't always the most telling, but there's definitely takeaways. So let's discuss the disappointments we've witnessed. Ryan, from your perspective, what or who has been the biggest disappointment this preseason?
I think when you look at I think one of the things I look at is the pass defense. I think going back to the San Francisco game, I thought their pass defense was very inconsistent. I thought they made a step forward in terms of run defense. They made the first team defense really made some nice plays stopping the run. However, when you look at Brock Purdy, he had first offensive drive, he had 66 yards through the air. That's not good. There was a lot of inconsistency there. I think that led them, they had a hard time getting off the field on third down. There was a lot of guys were getting open in the middle of the field. So one thing you would like to see improve moving forward is their pass defense. And I think that was one of the biggest concerns going into the season, because you have a secondary where you're relying on Eric Stokes, a first round pick that hasn't really lived up to those expectations throughout his career. Then you got Darian Porter, who, yes, he has tremendous upside, but he only started in 7 games at cornerback at Iowa State, and he still has a lot more growing to do. And yes, he's flashed the ball skills throughout training camp, but when we're going into the season, and even this division in particular, when you have someone like Xavier Worthy, you have someone like a Cortland Sutton, and the quarterbacks they have to deal with, Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, you'll want them to see them having to step up in their pass defense and coverage downfield.
Yeah, I mean, secondary has always been a point of contention for this team of recent memory. Ray, where are you at in terms of disappointment? What have you not liked so much that you've seen?
So you're right about the defense. That drive against San Francisco did basically whatever they wanted. Thought the pass rush has not been as good as it should be. But for me, the biggest glaring weakness or disappointment is their backups just aren't that great. I mean, yeah, Aiden O'Connell's been awful at quarterback, but he does have experience as a starter over 2 seasons. But if you just look across the board, what are they going to get from Raheem Mostert at running back, right? I can't, can't say it. And defensively, who are the twos, and how are they going to look and feel? And they're one injury away, I think, from a potential tragedy. Didn't say that well. I'm not good with last names. You'll have to forgive me.
No, I got you.
You should see me announcing names. It's awful.
Listen, you can say Mike Davis beautifully.
Yes,
you know,
that's all that matters.
My heart flutters every time you say it. Levi, let's talk about the depth. Is that where your big issue is here? Secondary depth, where are you at?
Well, I mean, I feel the exact same way. To quote Soldier Boy, I'm gonna copy your whole flow. Yeah. The backups are not necessarily playing up to a level that we would like to see, and it's really just based upon lack of experience. You have to look at that offensive line, and you have, 4 or 5 rookies in the backups, kind of with that unit. You look at the secondary. You have Darian Porter, who's a rookie starting. You have Cameron Richardson, a second-year player. Caillou Blue, a second, third-year player. You have a lot of second-year or rookies playing in that secondary and playing on the offensive line as backups. And it's not necessarily that they're bad, it's just they're not used to playing at this level yet. They're not accustomed to it. So could they get better down the stretch? Time will tell, reps will tell. We don't know, but as of right now in the preseason, it is very concerning, especially with Aiden O'Connell, who has 2 years pretty much as a starter, 17, 18 games as a starter in this league. I thought he's looked pretty accurate as a quarterback when he has protection. And so far this preseason, granted, he's not getting that same level of protection, but he's just has not been as crisp as we are accustomed to, even within the games he started.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, to me, the turnover differential is going to be the key with this team. There were so many, I think they're going to be in a lot of close games this year, and they have, the acumen of Pete. They have a professional quarterback in Geno Smith. So winning that turnover battle, having some of these key guys pop. I mean, look, you're smiling, Ray, but it's true.
I'm happy to be here, Mike. You're right. Geno Smith is...
He's a professional.
He's
an
a professional
accurate passer. He knows how to run an offense.
Yeah. But if you're in a close game, you just worry about. You don't want to be in.
Geno knows the 2-minute drill. The thing is, it's shooting yourself in the foot. That's for us. I mean, listen. It's you. I saw you smirk. You smirked when I said the Ravens and the Eagles were A+ professional organizations.
Because you're an Eagles fan and you brought that up. You could have said the Steelers.
Well, they're not an A+ organization right now. What I'm saying is, listen, these franchises, these organizations that we're trying to aspire to, they don't shoot themselves in the foot. That's the first rule. So for us to take that next step with the Raiders, that's a big thing.
And I think Geno, to his credit, is a veteran presence who's been there, who's had success under Carroll, who has been very stable for most of training camp, and who is not going to get you into a lot of trouble. I totally think that. Do I think he's going to lead you to double-digit wins in the playoffs? Probably not.
Listen,
he did that in Seattle. He won 10 games, got him to the playoffs like 2 years ago.
You're absolutely right. He did do that in Seattle. That's facts.
Granted, the team, if you take Geno Smith out the equation, you compare team to team, it looks a little different. So I will give you that. But
yeah, Geno didn't. Long
Can
narrative
we?
here.
I'm just saying.
Geno didn't blow my socks off, but again, I love his leadership. I love it.
But let's just be real. Are we living in bizarro world? Are we not going to act like Geno Smith is a major upgrade from Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew? Are we not, like, is that what we're not going to believe?
100% upgrade. I'm not going to dispute that.
It's like you're driving,
But is Geno Smith going to lead you to 10 wins,
a horse and
Michael?
buggy, and you're going to a Corvette? It's a big difference. All right, we got to go to the break. Listen, next up we're talking about somebody who Ray personally calls sexy in the green room, and it's Ashton. It's not me. It's Ashton Genty. We're going to be talking about him. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Well, Ashton Genty is the talk of the town, the 6th pick of the draft. The rookie running back didn't have much to display in his first preseason game with -1 rushing yards on 3 attempts, but he did follow that up with a good outing this weekend, rushing 7 times for 33 yards and a touchdown. Plus, he had that one run, the Madden truck stick that everybody's talking about. So, Ray Brewer, what's your overall thoughts thus far on Ashton Genty, number 2?
So I love what the Raiders did with him in the second preseason game, right? You're coming off the debut against Seattle where he had a negative yard on 3 touches. And they were determined to have him feeling better about himself. And that's exactly what he did. They gave him the ball in space. Even if you go to the pregame when he's running out in the warm-ups and everybody's all fired up, and they say, hey, we've got a franchise player, a difference maker. How could we get the best version of him? And credit to Pete and everybody else for doing that. And it was fun to see him get in the open, score a touchdown, have that stiff arm, and now all of a sudden you've got a player who's got some confidence. Do I think he's going to set the rookie rushing record for yards from scrimmage? Probably not. It's just so hard to do it week in and week out in this league. But I don't think he's going to be, a complete, like I had him like for 750 yards the last show. He's probably going to be better than that, but I don't think he's going to lead the Raiders to a 10-win season. Glad he got involved though last week.
Ryan, do you anticipate you're going to be writing articles for ESPN where, Ashton is winning offensive rookie of the year? What you've seen from him, do you think that's what we're looking at, or is this going to be more running back by committee, or is Pete just going to say, hey, here's the ball, go do your thing? And what he did with that truck stick, we're just going to get accustomed to that week in, week out.
I think Ashton Jeanty, his ceiling will be offensive rookie of the year, and what we've seen throughout OTAs, training camp, they are expected to have him play a big role on this offense, and I think that he's going to be the key for everything else to open up. And to put some context into his performance in Week 1, he had like he had a carry where he lost a 4-yard loss. They had 2 backups out there, so when he was on the field for the second time, he was out there with 2 backups at offensive line.
Yeah.
This game against San Francisco, it was 2 scoring drives with the first team offense throughout, and you saw the difference there. I thought up front they did a good job. Did a good job in terms of run blocking, and we was able to see that physicality, the contact balance. That's where I think we're going to expect to see from him this year. I think he has the capability of rushing for a little bit over 1,000 yards this year. That's because that's who he is as a player. I think he's a guy that's going to be hard to stop. It's going to take more than one guy to bring him down, and just the fact that offensive coordinator Chip Kelly has hinted throughout this whole process that Ashton Jeanty is their guy. He's going to have a big role in this offense, whether it's in the backfield, in receiving. He's being set up to have a major role in this offense, and I think his ceiling going into his rookie year is to be an offensive rookie year candidate, and I wouldn't be surprised he ends up winning it at the end of the season.
Okay, all right. We got to go to the break. We're going to start with Levi when we get back after break, but there's still so much ahead. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Sin City Beat. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Well, there's one more preseason game set for the Raiders this coming weekend. They take on the Cardinals in Arizona. So what is the panel going to be watching out for in that final game? Levi, let's start with you, and if you want to add anything on the Jeanty stuff, I know we didn't get to you. Tell us what you're looking for, and if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, as for Jeanty, I'm just going to say everything that they basically just said. One thing I will say that was really cool about the game with Jeanty is I could hear like the track in the stadium where like after he did the push off for the stiff arm, you could hear like that sitcom like ooh in the crowd, and that was pretty cool just because it was just such a dynamic play. And he's going to do a lot of things with catching out the backfield. I mean, if you're a running back in today's game, you're trying to get paid, you got to be able to catch the ball, be in open space, and make moves like that. What I'm looking for, though, in this last preseason game is obviously there's going to be so many guys that are going to be vying for jobs. Mm-hmm. And there's so many spots on the field that are still just so undetermined, whether you look at the defensive tackle room or edge rusher or secondary and even receiver. You have some guys who are making some noise at receiver. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys who are vying for their job and vying for opportunities to be able to really go out there and show why they should make this team.
Okay, now Ryan, no starters in this game. Ryan, what are you looking for?
I'm looking forward to see who stands out in the secondary. That's one thing. So seeing someone like a Greedy Vance, an undrafted free agent, because to me, I think there's opportunity there at cornerback to try to earn a spot on the team. So I think someone like a Greedy Vance, how will he be able to step up and extend the playing time? Another thing I want to look at is we're going back to the quarterback position. Everyone knows Geno Smith is the guy, but to me, you look at the backups in terms of Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller. I want to see how they perform. Pete Carroll talked about one of the issues he's seen. One of the issues with Aiden O'Connell, he said they're not quick coming out the huddle with Aiden O'Connell under center. We've seen this turnovers as well, 3 interceptions. That's not good. Cam Miller, on the other hand, I don't think he's ready to be QB2 just yet. However, I think he has a lot of traits that you will like out of the quarterback position that are worth developing. General Manager John Spytek has been high on his, winning mentality, but also too, he has that dual threat ability where he's someone that can be used on design runs and scramble if necessary. But he still has a lot more work to do. So another thing I'm looking at in this game is how those two quarterbacks play out.
Okay, all right, we'll be taking a look at that as well. And Ray, last but not least, tell us what you think.
Earlier in the show I mentioned the development of some of the backups, and this is great fill time for them to get out there against another opponent, because throughout the course of any NFL season, you guys know, people get dinged up, the injury reports start getting bigger and bigger, and the Raiders are going to need all 53 people on that roster to be ready to go, and valuable opportunity to do so.
All right, we're going to be taking a look. It's Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be in Arizona. Then very quickly, it's going to be the start of the NFL season. We can't wait for that. We'll see what happens. I know, Ray, you're going to be converted. We're going to make you a Geno Smith believer at the end of this.
I told my wife.
There was a fake Justin Bieber around town this weekend. If you were on social media performing, you're going to be a believer in Geno Smith.
I told my wife we might have to buy some Geno Smith jerseys for the kids. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year.
The Genti, the Max Crosbys, those are going to be the ones a lot of kids are going to be wearing. Guys, Ryan, Ray, Levi, thank you so much. I'm Mike Davis. We'll see you next time here on Sin City Beat. Have a great week, everybody.